Welcome to Camp Student Radio from the University of Arizona's campus, 1570 AM, campstudentradio.com, bringing you yet again another edition of The Rundown. We've got a jam-packed day for you, a very busy studio as well. David Mooradian, Michael Smith, Damon, Coyne, and Will Shenot. Will bringing some expertise from the Daily Wildcat a little bit later in the show. He's going to preview Arizona Baylor football, the final regular season game at home at the new Casino del Sol Stadium. Not to be confused with Arizona Stadium, same physical location, two grossly different titles. So Baylor and Arizona will have a preview for you in about 10 to 15 minutes. And we're also going to look ahead to the rest of the season. How can Arizona get the win on the road against Arizona State up in Tempe? And then where will that fall bowl-wise? Are we talking Pop-Tarts, L.A., Alamo? We'll see about that. Certainly, we won't know until the regular season is concluded, but there's a lot of speculating to do. And also, does the team have any hope left in making the Big 12 championship game? It seems they do not, but some help this weekend could be in store. That's why they play the games. And a game broke out last night between Houston and Buffalo, where the team that was not expected to win did just that. The Houston Texans, beautiful pass rush. Josh Allen, I think he was sacked 8 or 9 times. It was really remarkable, very surprising. So we'll get a reaction from that game as well in general NFL landscape, but we have to start here because, Michael, we have a top college basketball program on our hands. There's no other way to put it. Arizona men's basketball has been exceptionally impressive. 3 ranked victories, including defeating the past 3 national champions. That's UConn twice and Florida once. And they've done all of this winning away from the McKale Center. They're 5-0 with 2 wins at McKale, but the 3 ranked victories not in McKale. Certainly they had the upper hand in Vegas in terms of the crowd, but they did not in Los Angeles or in stores. In this case, the most recent case, the game was played away from campus or on the visiting campus, right? So UConn had certainly a very lively atmosphere, and they were unable to deliver for their fans. 71-67 final. I'm going to just make this statement, and then I'll let Damon and Michael kind of jump in here and be like ants on sugar and just swarm around and make all the necessary points. Here's my point, Damon.
Yeah.
This is the number 1 team in the country right now.
Absolutely.
They should be regarded as such on Monday when the AP poll comes out, and I do think that they have a sustainable formula to continue to win. Every coach, post-game-wise, has said that this is a great team, and usually they're saying it because they had just lost. Danny Hurley singing the praises of Arizona. The same was done by Florida, and I think Mick Cronin is usually a little tighter-lipped, especially when it comes to Arizona, but his team did come up short. Now, all of these games have been highly competitive. They haven't blown anybody out, which is not a criticism whatsoever. And some are pointing to their lack of three-point shooting and also their lack of success behind the three-point line. But I am not concerned about that. We can certainly get into that later, but I want you, Damon, to assess what you've seen from the team. Obviously, you're impressed, but how are they doing it, and what have you seen?
I think I would like to see them implement shooting the 3 ball a little bit more, but, look, it's not a problem. You have 2 top 3 wins. You have 3 top 15 wins. The Wildcats clearly have the best record and the best resume in college basketball. And, like you said, David, before the show, they've beaten the last 3 national champions.
Right.
They beat UConn and they beat Florida. And, I think it all starts, honestly, obviously Koa Pete's been phenomenal, but I think it all starts with Jaden Bradley. He runs this offense absolutely beautifully. He's the facilitator, and, when I watch the games, he looks like the best player on the floor. Michael,
Michael, this will be one of your last chances to jump in here about the basketball team. Maybe we'll get your thoughts from abroad. But what do you think? It's crazy times, really.
No, Damon's absolutely right. Jaden Bradley looks like the best player on the floor, and as he should be, right? He's the veteran leader to this team. He's learned under Caleb Love for quite some time now, and now it's his turn to lead this team. And look, I agree with you, David. The three-point shooting doesn't really concern me because Arizona just attacks the rim. They're not afraid. Who you throw in there, whether that is a 7-footer or not, and you saw this in the first game of the season, right? Florida's so-called best front court in the country. Well, you attack them, and you force them to play your game, and you play their game. And last night, you force UConn to settle from the outside, right? They lost their 7-footer, their 20-10 best player, so-called. But then you take advantage of that, right? And you have guys like Krivas, you have guys like Awaka that aren't afraid to go up strong, that aren't afraid to get physical down below, especially with Coach Hurley and Coach Cronin the last couple of games, ready for a physical battle. So I'm really pleased with this team. One thing I have to say is I'm really, I wouldn't say surprised, but proud for Koa Pete for responding, right? He had his worst game as a Wildcat. Credit, we've played 4-5 games this season. But, UCLA did a great job on him defensively, got him in foul trouble early, didn't play a good amount of the game. And then he comes in his first road game as a freshman, and he comes out firing. His first double-double of his career, and he just was relentless in the paint.
Yeah, no question about that. And I think one thing that I did notice, and I heard from boots on the ground at the arena, had some camp contributors that were on property, and there seems to be, and defensively you can't criticize the Wildcats too much because they did give up 67 against UConn, which is an impressive mark, and obviously a lower total against UCLA, not as offensive a team. But I think they could do a little bit more mixing up with how they use Krivas. It seems like he's always kind of sinking underneath on screens, protecting the paint.
The drop coverages.
Yeah, the drop coverage. I'm not against the drop coverages per se, but how about a little bit of a changeup? Sometimes drop back, but you can be more aggressive. Just so that the other team is facing a more uncertain approach defensively.
Keep
from
them
Arizona.
on their toes.
Keep them on their toes. I think they're very predictable. I think it's the same every time. If they could just mix it up, I think that would be a lot more effective. And it seemed like UConn had made the adjustments at the end of the game and did go on a run to make it more competitive. They even retook the lead late. I think it was maybe 65-63 in favor of the Huskies there before Arizona stabilized and got the win. So I think just a little bit more versatility defensively, with especially how Krivas is used, would be beneficial to the Wildcats. But generally, I have very few criticisms. I think Tommy Lloyd he's done both an exceptional job recruiting and now in game as well, doing a very good job. But my only kind of criticism is not on the offensive side, where some would go with the 3-point shooting, but rather just shake it up a little bit defensively.
Yeah.
I think that would be a
No,
welcome
I mean,
change.
absolutely, I agree. But I do think you're asking a lot for him and Awaka to kind of mix it up, because then you're losing that rebound advantage you have down low.
And they did dominate the boards.
They
against
dominated
UConn.
the board 43-23.
But what good is the rebounding when you're just pulling the ball out of the basket? I mean, that doesn't.
You're
do you much good.
eliminating UConn's chances at second chance points.
No, I understand that, but when having the rebounding upper hand when it's just somebody pulling the ball from out of the hoop doesn't do you much good. And UConn certainly heated up at the end of that game because they knew what was coming from Arizona defensively. So I think you sacrifice the rebounding prowess. No, I'm not looking for this every possession, Michael. Just here and there to really challenge. I mean, it would be the kind of final nail there. I think defensively that could really set this Arizona team apart. But again, just a small note. I personally would like to see a little bit more versatility. But generally, I think they're doing a very good job. And offensively, let's get into the three-point shooting. And this is the kind of thing I said to Ethan, right, a couple of weeks ago. If you can win the game without shooting threes, then why would you? I mean, if you can get an A without doing an extra credit assignment, I'm not opening that book. I'm not reading it. I mean, I've already got the A, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that's kind of the point. And yeah, maybe you want to have an A with flying colors. You want to blow them out. But they seem to have a sustainable formula, at least for now, without the threes. And certainly if that's not the case, then they have to make the adjustments. And I do think there are players capable of doing that. Will Burries establish himself as a three-point shooter? Something that's kind of why he's on the team. Certainly it's been a slow start for him. I do think we'll see more from him as the year rolls on. I don't think this 5-game sample size is going to be all that indicative for Burries. I think Del Orso, obviously, we know can bury the three, and that was huge against UCLA. So I think a couple of guys will step forward. And there's no reason, I mean, it's not like Koa Pete can't shoot, right? I mean, yes, he's much more lethal the closer he gets to the basket, but I wouldn't be surprised if he starts to just stretch the floor a little bit more and attempt maybe 1 or 2 threes a game. So that's not an impossibility. Yeah. But again, I think that they'll find that as the year goes on. I don't think it's going to be a fatal. I don't think it's going to be like St. John's, who literally was incapable of making a three. And once they got to Kentucky and not Kentucky. Once they got to Calipari and Arkansas, it haunted them, and they were bounced in the second round. I don't think that's going to be the fate for Arizona. I think they have a lot more offensive ability than St. John's.
Well, I'm going to go back to Barry's really quick. You know, the last game against UCLA, he attempted 6 threes, only converted 1. This game, he didn't even think about shooting a 3. And I'm not sure about you, David. I think he had some pretty good open looks where I'm like, well, why aren't you shooting that, right? But, you know, I think you're seeing these adjustments as more games are being played with this team, right? They're just looking for the best shot, not just the greatest look.
Totally agree. Damon, you want to jump in here? I know you have some thoughts, and then we're going to transition.
No, I mean,
from Will.
I absolutely agree with what Michael said, and I mean, Braden Burries, we brought him in because he was a prolific scorer in high school. But I'm not mad at him not shooting the ball. I mean, he only attempted 4 field goals, and like Michael said, he didn't even think about shooting a 3 on Wednesday, and I'm not mad at that because yeah, he struggled in the first half, but I think despite only scoring 3 points, I think he played the second half very well.
So there you go. And again, I think that the team will make some adjustments. I think that as the season goes on, they will present themselves differently and certainly change. Now, another team that has really grown as the season's played on that does not resemble certainly the team last year is the Arizona Wildcats football team, and we have Will Shenot here to preview the matchup against Baylor. Will is one of the contributing writers for the Daily Wildcat, does a great job. We all saw his preview piece. If you haven't seen it, check it out on the Daily Wildcat, setting the stage for what should be an interesting matchup at Casino del Sol Stadium tomorrow. So Will, kind of tell us what we should expect. Arizona's favored by 6.5. Certainly seems to me like the offense isn't going to have a problem tomorrow, but give us the whole landscape there, what you're expecting between Baylor and Arizona.
Yeah, absolutely. So we got Arizona coming in here off 3 consecutive wins, most notably on the road against Cincinnati. I mean, this offense has looked explosive, and we got Noah Fifita. He's been surgical all season.
Right.
He's taken care of the ball, only 4 interceptions on the season. And now he's the leading all-time passing touchdowns for Arizona, passing Nick Foles and Tommy. Yeah, Willie Tuitama.
There you go. And I did see that. So it was a historic day for the football program, right? Noah had the multiple touchdown performance, got past all those necessary marks. Now, the one thing that has been very consistent, not only this year, but it was a problem last year as well. But this year it's really come to a head because they're competitive, and this is the one thing holding them back is their red zone efficiency. Now, I believe I've solved the problem, Will. Now, here's my problem. I'm very much like a politician, okay? I've solved the problem. I can tell you what's wrong. I'm not sure I can tell you how to fix it. So I've got to come to that. I have to really break it down. But I'm certainly capable for office there, so at least I would get elected. I wouldn't do a good job, but I could get in, and that really wouldn't make me any different. But nonetheless, here's the issue. You've got a quarterback who's playing great football, but on a good day, that quarterback is 5'10". And if we're being honest, he's probably 5'8.5". I mean, I've been on the field eye level with Noah Fifita. He's not a big guy. So what does that mean? Well, let's think about what smaller quarterbacks do. When you watch Noah Fifita, you see he likes to drift back in the pocket, and that allows him to throw over his offensive line. He's got 2 linemen, Will, taller than 6'6". Not 6'6". They're taller than 6'6". 2 of them. There's only 5 players on an offensive line. 2 of them are that tall. They've almost got a foot on Noah Fifita. That's hard to throw over. So we always see Noah drift back in the pocket. Sometimes he takes those really long sacks, kind of like what we saw with Shedeur Sanders, but for different reasons, right? It's all because of Noah's height. So he likes to drift back, and that's not effective in the red zone. And he also likes to throw downfield. He likes to drift back and then fire deep passes. Now, he's an excellent deep ball thrower, one of the best in the league, I think, or in college football. I think he's a top 5 deep ball thrower. But unfortunately, when you're in the red zone, if you throw it deep, it's going to be like Russell Wilson against the Chiefs, right? It's going into the crowd. So that aspect of his game is removed, and he also likes to leave the pocket. But teams do a much better job containing the pocket in the red zone, right? Because everything is packed in. You're playing the run. So it's harder to run the ball, and he can't play from outside the pocket. He can't throw deep. That's the vast majority of his game. So his skill set, his strengths in the red zone are completely deprived. And then what do you have to do in the red zone? You really just have to stand tall in the pocket, play from inside, and be able to deliver an efficient 7-yard gain, right? I mean, if on 1st and 10 from the 20, you can stand tall and beat a run defense for 7 yards, that's a great play. Then on 2nd and 3, you can start to work on getting inside the 10. Maybe you can break one out on a different look on 2nd and short, and that's kind of the key to success. That is not Noah's game. He really struggles, I think, over the middle passing, and that's because of his offensive line difference in height, frankly. So I've got the problem diagnosed. I don't imagine that you're going to push back on what I'm saying, but I don't know how to fix that, right? I mean, what do you do about that? He's 5'8". There's no change in that.
Yeah, in this game particularly, it's going to be establishing the run game. I mean, Baylor allows almost 200 yards per game, so running the ball specifically in the red zone is going to be key to victory,
right?
Because we're scoring touchdowns on just 58% of our red zone opportunities.
Brutal.
That's going to have to go up if we're going to want to win this game.
Yeah, and remember BYU, it was painful. Yeah. They scored all of their touchdowns on explosive plays, 30-yard runs, 30-yard pass plays, right? And that's been great for Arizona. They have had no shortage of explosives this year. So credit their offense for creating those. And again, Noah throws a beautiful deep ball, and he's got some receivers that frankly have overachieved this year. Let's be honest about that. And the running game has been great, but not in the red zone. So I think you got to look at Mahdi, Shenot, and Craig and really say, hey, guys, we've got a quarterback that's not really equipped to deliver in the red zone. You've got to pick it up. You've got to kind of carry the load there and help him out. So, stronger running off of tackles, persistent, right? Now, this Baylor defense, You mentioned Arizona, not great in the red zone. I don't imagine Baylor's defense is great in any regard, including red zone defense. So that should be favorable for Arizona. Just kind of tell us what's been going on with Baylor this season and who's coming into Casino del Sol Stadium on the visiting side.
Well, Baylor, they've definitely struggled on defense. Last week, allowing 55 points to a Utah team who, don't get me wrong, they're great, top 10 in the nation, but 55 points is unexcusable from any Big 12 team. I mean, if you're going to want to compete for a Big 12 championship like they were expecting to in the beginning of the season as a dark horse contender, you can't let up 55 points. So that's going to be key for Arizona to take advantage of the weak Baylor Bears defense. And then on the opposing side, the Bears offense has just been electric passing the ball. That's what's keeping them afloat. That's what's keeping them competitive in games. And that's Arizona's strength on defense. They've got an elite secondary. They turn the ball over at top 10 rate in the country. So they're going to have to force Sawyer Robertson into some mistakes, throwing some interceptions, and they'll be on a good way.
And Arizona's defense, right? I think a very common theme here is they've done a really poor job, let's be honest, in the first quarter, whether it was Kansas, right? Kansas kind of got off to a hot start there, answered back to Arizona's touchdown, and did the majority of their scoring in the first half. And the same was true in the Houston game, right? It seemed like in the first half they had no answers to Wegman's offensive ability. BYU, same thing, right? The defense played great in the third quarter. You have this trend of falling behind, giving up points. And the same was true in Cincinnati, right? It's the first couple drives, so here we go again. But they do stabilize, right? They've been a great third quarter team, and that is coaching. So I was tough on Brent Brennan last year. I'll be honest about that. But we have to be fair. He's doing a great job, halftime adjustments, and they've been a really strong third quarter team this year, especially defensively. So can they get off to a better start early in the game on the defensive side of the ball? That's my question, and I'm hoping that this defense can deliver, maybe force a turnover. I know Baylor's been a little bit loose with the ball this year, and really see if Arizona can dominate the game early, play from ahead, run the ball. You know, it's a totally different look. They haven't hardly played any games like that in that kind of position, and I think that will be immensely important. But defensively, they really did a nice job in the second half against Cincinnati. You know, the Bearcats had 14 points quick. They only finished with 24. What have you seen from the Arizona defense, and do you think that they'll be able to hold off a Baylor team that can move the ball?
One thing that's caught my eye particularly this year is the new defensive corner, Danny Gonzalez.
Right.
I mean, he's implemented some complex blitz schemes and just getting after the quarterback, allowing the secondary to make some plays, and that's what they've done this year. I mean, turning the ball over at an elite rate, they just set the offense up in great scoring position, and the offense really needs to capitalize that with their red zone offense. I mean, like, we need to score more touchdowns and kicking field goals, and that's just going to be the difference in this game.
Yeah, no question about that. So that's kind of the lay of the land. What do you think of last question here on the football team, and then we'll pivot here to the National Football League. What do you think about the name change, Casino del Sol Stadium? I've had a hard time saying it today on the show once or twice because there's a lot of S's there, right? Casino del Sol Stadium. I mean, it's loaded. Maybe we could have gone with Del Sol Stadium.
I mean, yeah, definitely a huge change. It's massive because of all the sports gambling that's going on.
Right.
I mean, it's
and
really
we
taken
did touch
over
on
the sports
that.
world.
We did touch on that Monday.
Yeah, it's really taken over the sports world, and as we know, it's changed Arizona. So, although I do think it's going to give a lot of money and resources to our sports programs, it's just kind of a pain to see Arizona Stadium leave.
Right. And what I said, the interesting thing, and again, we don't want to bore our audience with the same conversation that we had on Monday, but there was one I want to tell you about, this one interesting paradox, so to say. Tommy Lloyd ranted about the presence of gambling in sports and that's the real reason that we have these injury reports that need to be disclosed and all that. And then 3 weeks later, his boss, the athletic director, says, oh, we're actually going to change our stadium name to Casino del Sol Stadium. So Arizona Athletics speaking out of both sides of their mouth a little bit. I do think it is a positive for the school just because they have $60 million coming in for athletics. You need to spend to compete, right? You need the facilities. You need to be paying players. I mean, it's just out there in front at this point. And I'd rather have the casinos giving the money in this way than, hey, go take a knee at the end of the game there, and we'll give you $60 million. This is a better way to take their money. So there are positives, but it's certainly interesting times, and this is the world we're in now, and it's certainly feeling real here when the name change will be physically on the building next year. And as I understand, we have to be calling it Casino del Sol Stadium right now at this point. So let's move on. Now, Michael, I don't know how much time we want to dedicate to the college football landscape, just because you got the SEC kind of taking things off. You've got the Big Ten, even not some great games. But in the Big Ten, we're starting to see a little bit of a revival of the Pac-12. So what's kind of catching your eye this week? We'll spend a couple minutes here on college football before we get to a very busy NFL slate.
Well, I think one thing that I'm looking forward to, especially I think in the Big Ten, obviously I think the elephant in the room is USC-Oregon. Both of these teams need this win, but I think it's more important for Oregon, right? It's a home game, right?
Huge game.
Schedule is kind of weak, right? There's really no outlier besides the Indiana game. Oh, you beat Penn State. Great. That just doesn't look good now. Oregon needs this. If they don't, it just looks really bad, and they could, have a fall from grace and just not look good in front of the selection committee, right? They didn't do them too well. I want to say they put them in the 9 spot of the playoff.
Damon says 7.
7? Okay. But besides the point, Oregon needs this win. I think USC also needs this win. Just for, I don't know if they can. I don't think they'll make the playoff, but I think they need it just more so. They've had a bumpy road all season long, and they need a standout win. I think Lincoln Riley has been searching for that standout win. Right? You lost to Notre Dame this year. Ugly win against Nebraska. You had a great win against Northwestern, but it's like, okay, let's go and beat that big team.
They haven't done that.
They haven't done that.
Well, Iowa, right, was significant. I mean, that was.
Yeah.
But it wasn't pretty. I mean,
Right.
that was not a game where if you're on the committee, you're saying, "Oh wow, I'm really impressed with USC here." So Damon, why don't you tell us the stakes here? It seems to me like Oregon can't get in without a win against USC. Is that accurate?
I think honestly, I think the Big Ten is going to have 3 teams make the playoff. I think Indiana's a lock,
Yep.
Ohio State's absolutely a lock,
Yep.
and then really it's between Oregon and USC, right?
Right.
So I think honestly the winner of this game is likely to be the
And
team
they're
that
not-
gets
and-
into the
And
playoff.
the winner of this game will not be playing in the Big Ten championship game.
Yeah,
so they can just kind of sit home here. I don't know if either one of them have challenging games to end the year. I don't think so.
Oregon plays Washington on the road,
And-
which they'll likely win, and then
Yeah.
USC plays UCLA at home. So I mean, if USC beats Oregon, and then I mean they'll likely beat UCLA. I mean, I think they make the
Probably.
playoff. I don't know why they wouldn't. But, I mean, honestly, I think this game, it's just offense versus offense.
Yep.
And it's just whose defense can get a stop late, and I think it's likely to be Oregon.
Well, certainly the odds makers and the Ivy League grads agree with you because the over-under is 59.5 between USC and Oregon. So they're saying, hey, this will be a 31-28 type of game at least. And so that's kind of where they've got it. That's where you have it. And a playoff game by what it sounds here.
Yeah, it seems like a playoff game.
Whoever win and you keep going, lose and you got to settle for the Pop-Tart Bowl or the LA Bowl or whatever.
I
it may be.
mean,
And
that's
maybe
kind
they'll
of what
be
it
playing
feels
Arizona,
like.
right?
Win and you're in, lose, and then settle for something less.
Yeah, settle for the Wildcats and
then more than half your team opts out of the bowl game.
right.
Right.
And then Arizona ends up winning it because they're not playing against USC. They're playing against like SCU. It's like scrambling the letters.
Right.
It's not certainly the team that we saw all season long. What else is out there? I mean, it's a tough week. It seems like a big game in the SEC for Oklahoma against Missouri. I think that's a sneaky big game because you got to beware of the letdown game, Damon. You had an Oklahoma team that delivered against Alabama, and frankly, you know, all that is for nothing if they're unable to get it done against a Missouri team that is tough.
Yeah, I mean, the Missouri's a really good football team. I mean, they run the ball exceptionally with Ahmad Hardy, but I think the biggest story of this game is Missouri's starting quarterback Bo Prabula is coming back from injury this week.
And he's going to play.
He will be starting on Saturday. And, yeah, I mean, look, Oklahoma they did beat Alabama. They're ranked number 8. They're ranked inside the top 10, 8-2.
Right.
But I still kind of feel like they're pretenders, and I think that this could potentially be a trap game.
Oh.
I mean, their defense is exceptional against the run, and I think that's where a lot of Missouri's offense starts. But I wonder how they're going to fare because I don't think they've seen a back like Ahmad Hardy yet.
All right, so there you go. That's kind of big news, no question about that. Michael, what do you think? Is Oklahoma in store here for a trap game, or are we maybe not giving them enough respect?
I could see that. I just haven't been sold on Missouri all season.
All right.
So I hope I'm wrong, but I'm going to stay on the Mateer train here. I'm going to believe in him. He proved me wrong against my Alabama pick last week. I want to see him do it again. But I hope I'm wrong, right? Damon, he said a lot of great points. And I think Missouri, right, they don't win in a sexy way. They win ugly. And, right, that's what great teams do is they win in all kinds of ways. So I think if Missouri can do that, then, yeah, absolutely. But I don't think this is necessarily a trap game. I just think Oklahoma just needs to put their foot down and say, hey, we're here and, we're the real deal.
Yeah, certainly a big game for the Sooners, and it seems like playoff games almost for Oklahoma and for Oregon this week. So, yeah, it's a quiet window, but big games for a couple of programs out there, a couple of really noteworthy programs. I think those are the two games that deserve the most justice, and I think we did them that. And so at this point we can move on here. We still have about 15 to 20 minutes before we're going to make our picks. Let's get into an NFL landscape that every week gets busier and busier. It gets more convoluted, more contaminated. And that continued last night, right? A Houston team that was not expected to win did just that, as I said at the beginning of the show. And we got to talk about their pass rush. It's incredible. It's very impressive. And if you double Will Anderson, the other side gets home. I think we had the name pre-show there. Daniil Hunter is a remarkable player. And certainly when all the attention shifts to the other side to Will Anderson, Daniil Hunter is more than capable of getting home, and Josh Allen can tell you that from a first-hand account. I mean, he was feeling Daniil Hunter's presence. There's no question about that.
Him all night.
And he really was. And Will Anderson, when they focus on Daniil Hunter and dedicate the necessary resources to that side, Will Anderson's home in a heartbeat. And Allen, it seemed like he was holding the ball at times because Houston's secondary was making it happen.
And I think something that's just kind of interesting to point out as well, I mean, Josh Allen historically has struggled against the Houston Texans. I mean, he's 1-4 against the Texans.
Yeah. And it seemed like deja vu watching that game, right, all over again. It's every time the Bills, they go down to Houston, it's not pretty. Their offense can't get anything going. Now this team, and it's the same problem every year, Damon, Buffalo is so dependent on Josh Allen. I mean, come on. There's no help around this guy. What are they doing? What is their front office doing? You're trotting out these skill position players that nobody's ever heard of, that nobody wants. Their offensive line play isn't bad, but they're injured. They're decimated with injuries. James Cook is having a nice season. But if you stop the run and you keep Allen in the pocket, you've got them stopped.
Exactly. I mean, Josh Allen, Josh Allen is one of the best football players in the league. He's one of the best quarterbacks. He's a top 3 quarterback. But, I mean, he has no help around him. I mean, his number one receiver is Khalil Shakir. And then outside of that, I mean, it's pretty grim. He doesn't have much help. And, look, James Cook is obviously an exceptional running back. He's phenomenal. 17 carries, 116 and a touchdown last night. Right. I mean, he's one of the premier backs in the league. But Josh Allen has no receiving help. You had Stephon Diggs, and obviously now he's in New England thriving.
Doing well.
He's doing very well in New England. And I think the Bills need to get a wide receiver. They need to get a Josh Allen, a number one weapon. I mean, Keon Coleman, I don't love Keon Coleman. I don't think it's going to work out in Buffalo. You need to get an established number one receiver up in Buffalo.
Yeah, it certainly seems that way. And now let's talk about the AFC South. Houston moves to 6-5, and boy, are they glad they made that comeback against the Jacksonville Jaguars. It looked like their season was completely over at that point, right? They were 3-5, certainly going to be 3-6, down by I think 20 at one point against Jacksonville at home. They make a against all odds comeback against the Jags. They split that head-to-head matchup, which could be pivotal for that last wild card spot. Yeah. And now with the Colts, seems like the Colts are human. We thought maybe they were going to go 17-0 with the way they were playing.
They're human.
They are human. They play in Arrowhead. They're underdogs this week, so they could drop to 8-3 with a loss, and all of a sudden Houston is 2 games back of the Colts, and they're going to play them twice. Yeah. So this is really a surprising story here. A team that many of us were counting out is right back in it.
Absolutely. And I think, obviously, I mean, like we were talking about, Houston's defense is absolutely exceptional. Yep. And I do think that defense can cause Daniel Jones some problems. But I think, I mean, look, next week, in 2 weeks, the Colts are going to be playing the Texans.
Yeah. I think that's next week.
Oh, yeah, it is next week. Excuse me, sorry. The Colts are going to be playing the Texans in Indianapolis.
Right.
I mean, look, I think Daniel Jones may struggle a little bit, but how do you stop Jonathan Taylor? I mean, how do you stop him? They had a hard time stopping James Cook last night. James Cook is not Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor is the best football player in the league. So I think that they're going to have their hands full.
Well, certainly I think Houston, if anybody can stop him, it's going to be the Texans.
I think it will be. I think if a team that, I agree.
So we'll see about that. All right, let's get around. There's a lot going on here, and I do want to get Will's thoughts as well. So let's have Will jump on. Now, Will, correct me if I'm wrong. You are, I can't remember. You have a team. I don't know who
I'm the Eagles fan.
Oh, there we
go.
So,
big time Philadelphia.
Maybe there's a correlation. I think we have to do a study. Do the Philly fans, they're doing exceptionally well in the pick segment. We know the people from Houston can't pick worth anything. And also, but the guys from Philly, whether it be Dream Weaver or Will here, I mean, these are 2 of the guys at the top of the standings. Now, Damon is from Tucson, and he's certainly doing a nice job. But Philly, I mean, you guys, Philly's doing well. Maybe you're going to pick the Eagles game, but
Absolutely.
Also, all right, Eagles-Cowboys, right? I tend to think this is a bad matchup for the Eagles, actually, and I'm going to tell you why. First of all, week 1, Cowboys were right in that game. I think the weather delay worked to your advantage considerably. Is that right?
Yeah.
I mean, it was a long time ago, but I remember
Yeah.
weather delay, Cowboys were in a good spot, and then all of a sudden Philly kind of came out and changed it was a highly offensive game that turned really defensive after the weather delay. So you have that. But here, let me just finish this point, then you get right to it. Think about the Cowboys, right? They did trade Micah Parsons, but Kenny Clark and Quinnen Williams, 2 new acquisitions this year in the interior, 2 guys that are really stout against the run. Philly, all they want to do is run the ball, whether it's Jalen Hurts running the ball or Saquon Barkley. This is a team that beats you on the ground. The Cowboys seem like they're capable of stopping the run. Secondary's not great, but we haven't seen Jalen Hurts stretch the field. So that's my first thought. My second thought is this is a great Eagles defense. And by the way, I don't know if there's another team out there that bats down passes more than the Philadelphia Eagles do at the defensive line. I mean, they are knocking down quarterbacks. They have 3 or 4 passes a game that the guy's wide open and they don't get through because the defensive line's doing their job. So that's a big point. But Dak Prescott's having a great season. I think he's capable of scoring enough points indoors against an Eagles team that may struggle to run the ball. I think it's a tough matchup. What do you think, Will?
I think the Eagles come away with a victory here. I mean, we're undefeated in the Kelly Greens. Going on the road in Dallas with the Kelly Greens, I don't see us losing. And the Cowboys' record against teams above 500 is not the best. I mean, they've just beaten up on some poor teams. And going against the best defense in the NFL, the last time the Eagles played the Cowboys, we didn't have Brandon Graham or Jalen Phillips. So getting home with 4 is going to be really important in this game, and we've been able to do that the past few weeks.
Yeah, certainly seems that way. And so the Dallas Cowboys are getting 3.5 at home. They may be a popular pick. We'll see. Usually the popular picks in the pick segment don't do very well, so it's always curious to know which of those teams is getting a lot of love. You'll hope it won't be either. It's probably better if the game is just kind of left alone, and we'll see about that. So you seem confident. Yes, look, I think it's going to be – here's what I'm looking forward to seeing in this game. You have a great defense in the Eagles against an offense that's done some really nice things. It's going to be a high-quality matchup. The other side – it may be tough to watch when the Eagles' offense is on the field. Not a great offense, a good offense on paper, but the numbers certainly haven't been there. And then a defense that I have very little respect for in Dallas. But like I said, they're doing a reasonable job against the run. So I think that could be a difficulty for the Eagles offensively. We will see about that. What do you think about Jalen Hurts? Some people say he's a top 10 quarterback. Others don't give him very much respect. I tend to think, hey, he's played in 2 Super Bowls, won one of them convincingly. They have a great defense, but I think he's a pretty good player.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's no doubt he's a top 10 quarterback. When you go to 2 Super Bowls and you're the best player in both Super Bowls, there should be no discussion whether you're top 10 or not. I mean, he's consistently just winning football games, and when he needs to, he can put the ball in the air, and he's got one of the prettiest deep balls in the NFL. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah, and he also can beat you with his legs and the tush push. I don't know if we want to open this can of worms. I'm against it. I don't know. Are you for it? I assume?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, all right.
Of course.
Let's do 90. I want to do 90 seconds on this because we have so much to get to. There's other beautiful games out there, including Aaron Rodgers and whether or not he's going to make his return to Chicago. I do want to touch on that game. So Will, let's be very brief on this. Okay. Here's my problem. If the defense rallies around the ball and they push back, do you know what happens? The hand goes up, it's forward progress, the offense gets the yardage. But if the exact same circumstances happen and the offense does the pushing forward, it's the tush push and it's a first down. I don't think that that's a fair fight. To me, I like the quarterback sneak, and I think Jalen Hurts could be highly effective at the quarterback sneak without being pushed, and I think that's fine. That's great. But once the teammates start pushing forward, I don't want a penalty. I just want the official's hand to go up and say the play is over, forward progress, the same as if the defense is pushing back. The play is dead right here where the first contact was made. Am I being unrealistic?
I mean, that's not necessarily too unrealistic. That's probably the fairest point I've heard so far. Most people tend to go after the false starts, but that's more on the refs. We got to hold refs accountable for that and just keep everything on an even playing field. But then again, I think it's football at its purest. You just everybody at the line going for 1 yard, and it's just man against man, and I think
it is. How about this? If the offense is going to push their hands forward, let the defense push them back then. I mean, it's just not a fair fight to me in a game that already favors the offense so much. I mean, the defenders can hardly put any contact on the receivers. You've got the offense at such an advantage, and now you've got this other aspect here where the offense can do all the pushing and the defense can hardly do anything about it. So I just think it's a little bit unfair. And again, before the tush push years ago, I think it's an outrage when the ball is kind of rallying around on a pass completed downfield and another receiver starts pushing the ball carrier. I think that's absurd too. It's just not something that the defense can do. The offense shouldn't be able to do it either. That's my point.
Yeah, but my one argument against that is if it's such a problem, then why doesn't every other team do it to the same caliber that the Eagles do? They
No, and
can't
that's a
just
good
'cause
point.
It's just a niche that the Eagles have gotten really good at.
Now, that's a good point. I don't understand. The Bills did a nice job, but Allen went up. I can't understand how the Bills and others, teams, even the Texans, right? You got C.J. Stroud. Why these other teams can't do it, it is kind of confounding. But it did almost cost Philly the game, let's be honest, against Detroit. Sometimes Sirianni gets so coy about it, like, oh, this is a guarantee, and for the most part, it is. But he took a game that was over and made it unover, right? That's terrible grammar. I apologize, but the game was decided, and then all of a sudden it was undecided, and that was a very interesting choice. It didn't work out, but obviously the Eagles got the win. Terrible call. Let's be honest about that. That was awful. The Lions penalty, and yes, I did have the Lions in our pick segment, and Will, if I got that Lions game right, I would have been 3-0 in the NFL. I would have been working on a little bit of a winning streak, but nonetheless, not a good call there. But I don't think the Lions were going to score a touchdown. They had zero. They had done nothing all game, right? I don't think they were going to all of a sudden go down the field. But it was a terrible
Everybody's going to look to that call in particularly, but
the Eagles won the game.
There was a whole 60 minutes of football
you're absolutely
being played,
right.
And if you would have won the game, or if you would have won the game in the first half, then we wouldn't have been talking about that.
There you go.
So.
And that's a good point. All right. Let's get Michael Smith back on here. Michael, take us wherever you like. Look at this. I'm going to be very democratic. I'm going to hand my mic over to DC. I'll jump in when need be. There's a whole NFL slate out there. There's some really great games. I'm going to give you a couple that I think are noteworthy, and then you guys go. I think Chiefs-Colts is a big one. The Chiefs are playing for their season, arguably. I think that the Bears have an opportunity to really solidify their playoff chances against possibly Aaron Rodgers, who disrespects them every chance he gets.
But is he
That's
playing?
an interesting game. We don't know, 50-50 chance, but I think he is going to play, in my opinion. So take it wherever you like. You take those two or another one. That's what I find intriguing, but the floor is yours.
I agree with you. I think Chiefs-Colts is, the game, and I think it's only because you look at it from the Chiefs' perspective, right? They're 5-5, fighting for a wild card, but they don't hold any tiebreakers, right?
Right.
So now it's like they have to take care of their own business, but also get some help.
Exactly.
And what the Texans won last night does the complete opposite of that.
Yeah.
And if you look at their other tiebreakers, the Jaguars, they play our Cardinals, and let's just skip over that.
It's gonna be a free win.
And then you have the Ravens, right? 5-5, right? They play the Jets. They're on a hot. They're white.
They're
hot.
on the heater.
They're on a 4-game win streak.
I want to say so. 4 games.
They look insanely hot. Give me 1 second. I think there was another game too. 4-game win streak. Thank you. So yeah, the Chiefs absolutely need this win. The Colts are coming off a bye, and like Will mentioned earlier, how on earth do you stop Jonathan Taylor? Right? It almost looks like it's impossible. Right? So I think this win, especially after the tough loss against the Denver, right?
Right.
You absolutely need this win, and I think this win, I hate to say it, I think it's kind of ridiculous, but it almost like settles their season, right? I mean, you go under 500, right? The Jags take another step.
Yeah.
Who else do they lose to that they need a type? The Texans, right?
Yep.
The odds are not in your favor. You're looking at like a 30% chance of making the playoff, and as David said on Monday, right? He's taken the Chiefs in that tier 2 to kind of come out of the AFC. Well, it's like, will they even make the playoffs?
Yeah, right now if the season ended, they're out of the playoff picture. They're sitting at 5-5, and yes, they beat the Lions at home. They beat the Ravens when the Ravens were a shell of themselves. But besides that, they don't really have any impressive wins. They lost to the Bills. They lost to the Broncos. They blew out a sorry Commanders team. They blew out an even worse Raiders team. And, they have the Colts coming up this week. And when you look at their schedule, they're going to play the Texans. That's going to be a win. They play the Raiders again. That's going to be a win. They'll probably split with the Broncos.
Well, I don't know if the Texans is if it's what we saw last night, there's no guarantee.
No, there's no guarantee. Because if you would have asked me last night, would have said that's an easy Bills win, and look what happened. So, you're absolutely right. There is no guarantees, and I think that the Chiefs, this is a must-win game.
Yeah.
Must-win game.
No, yeah, and then I think kind of going a little bit sidetracked here, I'm looking at probably the ugliest game of the season, and we're going to go to Las Vegas for that. I'm looking at Cleveland and Vegas, Shador's first start in the league.
Bust down that AP.
Now, credit, his first couple snaps coming into the game last minute didn't really look too great against, again, a red-hot Ravens team.
Right.
But look, these two teams are both going in the same direction. Now, how they get there, right, to what pick, right, is to each their own. Geno looks probably one of the worst quarterbacks in the league.
I feel bad for Geno. Myles Garrett is gonna.
I think this is
wreak havoc.
I think this is a bigger game. I think for Cleveland because I think they just have a problem within. Right? It's like, well, who is their guy? Right? Is it Gabriel? Well, we don't know that. Is it Sanders? He didn't really look the part in 12 snaps.
No, it's horrible. And what I find interesting though is that Shedeur Sanders, who's been the backup for a good while now, has taken 0 first-team reps in practice. He's only been taking reps with backups. So I think that coming into the game and playing really his first-team reps, his first ever first-team reps in a game, that's difficult. And yeah, I mean, look, 4 of 16, 47 yards and a pick. I mean, that's as bad as it gets. But I think when you watch the game, when you watch the tape, he made some rough throws. Right. He made some bad throws, but he extended plays with his legs. He delivered a couple strikes over the middle of the field. And I think that this is a huge opportunity for Shedeur to kind of like say that, hey, I belong in this league.
Absolutely. And then sticking with the afternoon slate, we're gonna go. Oh, unless David, you want to say
something? I do want to jump in on the Browns quickly. So I watched. Actually, there must be something wrong with me, and maybe I need a head exam. And we have to make your last point, then we'll get into the picks. I did watch the Cleveland game against Baltimore because it looked like there was an opportunity there for the Browns to take that game and really change the AFC landscape. Shedeur Sanders was abysmal, but no first-team reps, so he's going to have a whole week of practice here with the starters. That'll be something. This has got to be a totally different look for Sanders, and including me. I thought he had a chance. We got to have to stop because he was so far away from being it wasn't even close, right? So this week of practice better make a big difference or there's real issues. This is a terrible Raiders defense. They should be able to score points, and they should be able to win this game. Their defense is very good. And he doesn't need to be great to go out there and light up the Raiders. There's an opportunity here. He's got to take it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then sticking with the afternoon slate, we're going to go to the Sunday night. I think this is the elephant in the room here. Bucks, Rams.
Yeah.
Rams just come off one of their best wins of the season against a really, really tough Seattle team.
Picked off Darnold 4 times.
Which is really hard to do. In the Bucks, they just lost the shootout to the Bills, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't, that doesn't mean that they're not a good team, right? They're on a 2-game skid against 2 really tough teams in the Patriots and the Bills.
Exactly.
So I'm kind of looking for the Bucks to kind of have this bounce back game, give the Rams some trouble.
Right.
I think this might be honestly the game of the week.
I think it's the game of the week. I mean, I think you summed it up perfectly. I mean, it's the Bucks were so hot to start the season. Baker Mayfield looked like the best quarterback in football. They looked incredible. They were firing on all cylinders. But over the last few weeks, they've struggled a little bit. They lost to the Lions. They lost to the Patriots. They lost to the Bills. They've lost 3 of their last 4. And I think that this is a great opportunity to kind of reestablish the offense and bounce back. Bucky Irving's likely going to be out again.
Right.
But I think that this is still a good opportunity. But I really think that the Tampa Bay defense, the secondary, they're going to have their hands full stopping Matt Stafford. I mean, he's incredible.
And, again, huge game and I'm going to pick this game, so I'll leave it at that. Huge game for Tampa. I mean, the Carolina Panthers, by the way, they're right there. They're 6-5. If the Bucks lose this game, they're going to be 6-5. Now, no reason to take that seriously, but yeah, it has to be addressed. Just like Chicago, the Bears are 7-3. Nobody thinks that they're on the same level as Detroit or Green Bay, but they're right there. Your record is what your record is, and we're getting close to Thanksgiving, so things start to feel real. Okay, we're up against it. We've got about 10 to 12 minutes left here on the show. 4 people to make picks. I want to go last. I've been going first. I think it's working to my disadvantage because, frankly, I'm doing pretty well, Michael. I've been throwing out some winners the last 2 weeks. In the NFL, the last couple weeks, I've been 4-2. In college football, 4-2. So I'm feeling good about myself. I want to keep everything close to my chest. So if one of you 3 wants to start, I do want to hear from Will earlier than later.
Okay.
So Will, you're our guest of honor, so I think that would be fair. Why don't you grab that mic right there? You got 3 NFL picks against the spread, 3 college picks against the spread. Now your record on the season, I'll get to that, and then you make your picks. You can go NFL, then college. That's usually the way we go. Will, on the season, you're 14-13 in the NFL. You're 15-12 in college. That's an overall record of 29-25. That has you in 3rd place. So Will, take it away.
All right, definitely. For the first pick of the day, we're going with the Bears -2.5. I think Ben Johnson, specifically in the second half of the season, is going to ramp up this offense. They're getting more comfortable with Caleb Williams, and they're really taking care of the ball. I think that's the biggest thing. Caleb Williams has not turned the ball over, and he's also been using his legs quite a bit. I mean, just more reps in this Ben Johnson offense should make them more explosive, and I like them -2.5 at home.
Now, does the quarterback for Pittsburgh, does that matter? Do you care if it's Rodgers or Rudolph, or it doesn't make much difference?
I mean, obviously it makes a difference if Rudolph is in there. I think Rodgers is going to play. Regardless, I'd still take the Bears. I think they're the much better team, and the Steelers' offense really just does not scare me one bit.
No. All right, pick number 2.
Pick number 2, we got Lambeau Field. Packers at home -6.5. J.J. McCarthy's really been struggling. He's really not accurate at all. And against this top Packers defense, they're going to get after him, and they're going to be in his face all day. Give me the Packers.
There you go. And your final NFL pick.
And we're going to go with a homer pick here. Eagles -3.5. I mean, we're undefeated in the Kelly Greens, and Dallas usually struggles against teams above 500, so I'm going to take the Eagles.
All right, homer pick, and we're not immune to those, certainly. I think our man who's not here today is open to taking the Texans. Will, you got 3 college picks, so stay with us.
We got Arizona -6.5. I think there's
homer
no reason why we shouldn't score 35-plus points in this game. Baylor's defense is really weak, allowing almost 200 yards on the ground. So no issue scoring points there. Give me Arizona -6.5.
There you go.
And then we got SMU. Kevin Jennings, one of the top quarterbacks. I think they're going to force a lot of turnovers against Louisville. Close game against Clemson, but I think SMU takes this one out -2.5. And then for my last game, I like USC on the road against Oregon. Oregon does not have an impressive resume. Their best win is Penn State on the road, but Penn State doesn't look that great this year. I mean, almost 500. Oregon just they're not been impressive to me.
There you go. And here's the one thing though. So you're taking USC in the points, is that right?
Yeah.
So that line right now is 10.5. So that looks really good for you there. That's a good number. But you could say the same about USC, right? Oregon lacking some strength. USC the same. So both of them have an opportunity to make a statement. Mm-hmm. Will, thank you for your picks. Best of luck. See if you can chase down Dreamweaver and DC. They're ahead of you. But you're doing a nice job this year in the top 3, so we want to give you credit there. Let's go to the man who's in first place. DC, let me get you your record quick, and then it's all yours.
Cool, hit
a
me.
Whopping 17-7 in the National Football League. Really impressive. And then you cool it down a little bit in college, but very respectable 500, 12-12. Overall record 29-19. That's good for first place. So what do you have for us this week?
All right, so do you want me to start in the NFL? Or do you want me to
Yeah, start
college?
where you're good.
NFL? All right, let's do it. So, I mean, I think the first game that I'm looking at Jets-Ravens. I think, obviously, they're starting Tyrod Taylor this week.
That's right.
Justin Fields has been benched for the rest of the season. And I don't think the Jets will have no answer for the Ravens offense. I mean, Lamar Jackson is so hot. And the line's 13.5. I think the Ravens will cover that.
Wow.
I think it'll be close, but I think they'll cover that.
Can I tell you something? I never take the
Hit me.
Jets because I don't want to be a homer. I think the Jets are the pick this week.
You think
I
so?
think they're going to keep it close.
Nah,
I think the
I don't think
Ravens
so.
stock is overinflated, and I think Tyrod's a better option than Justin Fields. So I think
I don't think
it might
they're-
help them.
I agree. I mean, I think they might move the ball a little bit with Tyrod, but I think you're giving no answer for Lamar.
There you go.
All right, so then we're looking at Patriots-Bengals in
Yes.
Cincy, -6.5 for New England. New England's going to cover this. I mean, they're probably the hottest team in the NFL, 9-2. There's no answer for Drake May in the offense. I mean, Travion Henderson gets better week by week,
Right.
and the Bengals defense is it's abysmal. It's horrible.
Patriots have won 8 straight, but
Yeah.
Joe Burrow might be playing on Sunday.
He potentially may be playing. I heard Thanksgiving may be the date he comes back. It's kind of up in the air, but I mean, honestly, Joe Burrow or not, I think that the
So far you're laying
Pats are too hot.
You're laying a lot of points, and your last pick. Are you
Yeah.
going to keep with that trend?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
We're gonna go to Detroit.
Oh, that's a ton of points.
And I'm looking at Giants Lions. I mean, I'm taking the games with a lot of points, but I mean, the Giants. Jameis Winston I think he's gonna struggle, and I think that the Lions offense is way too hot. I mean, Jared Goff, he's very consistent, he's solid, but Jahmyr Gibbs is excellent. I mean, I've yet to see anyone really find an answer for Jahmyr Gibbs, and I think it's gonna be more of the same on Sunday. And then we're gonna go to college. And I think first pick, we're going back to UConn. UConn got it done for me last week. I'm going back to UConn again. -7.5 against FAU. FAU's 4-6. I'm not too familiar on FAU, but UConn, their offense is incredible. I mean, Joe Fagano, 27 touchdowns, 28 touchdowns, no
Very
interceptions. Incredible. He's so good.
7.5, you said?
7.5.
There you go.
Then we're gonna go to North Carolina, and we're looking at Duke, UNC, and I'm taking Duke -6.5.
I looked at it.
Duke's 5-5, but I think Duke is better than 5-5. I think that their offense is explosive. Darian Mensah can throw the ball like none other, and I think that they're absolutely going to cover, and I think they're due for a big win.
I did look at that. I didn't take it. Last pick, Damon.
Last pick, we're looking at Illinois, Wisconsin.
Right.
We're looking Big Ten. It's at Wisconsin.
Yes.
Wisconsin did pull off the upset against
Okay.
Washington, but it's a night game.
I'm sensing a butt.
But give me Illinois. I think Wisconsin is sorry. Like, let's not beat around the bush. When they beat Washington, their best passer was their punter. So I mean,
That's true.
That's
true.
He had the most completions on their team. He had 2 completions, and that was the most of any player on their team. So give me Illinois.
Illinois favored by 8.5.
Yeah,
but they haven't
8.5.
played their best football as of recently. They were better out of the gate
They haven't.
in the early fall. But Wisconsin, like you said, really has
They're
struggled this year.
horrible. They're horrible.
And so that is the last pick for Damon. He's going all favorites, 6 out of 6 favorites. So maybe the strategy in first place, Michael, is if you're at the track, just take the horse that's favored to win.
Well,
all right, Michael, you go, and then it'll be all me.
Okay, so we're gonna keep it with the favorites in the NFL here. We're gonna
Typical.
take the good teams win, great teams cover. Give me Seattle minus 13.5 over
Whoa.
Tennessee, coming off a really tough loss. They are pissed off and they go on the road. They're gonna give the number 1 pick some problems. So give me 13.5 there, and then I'm gonna take a page out of Will's book here. I'm gonna trust the Eagles. They looked great last week. You know, the Cowboys looked great, but I think they were a little bit of showboat. Right, you're in Vegas, prime time. Oh yeah, that's not a big deal. The Eagles will go into Dallas and they will shut them up. Then we go to Chicago. Here's the thing with Chicago. I was so close to not taking this game because why? This is the Bears cycle, right? Oh my gosh, the Bears are great. Oh my God, we just won a game. We're going to the play. We lost.
Yes.
This is the Bears cycle, but I think this team is different.
Oh my God,
So
everybody's taking the Bears.
I'm going to take the Bears minus
Not good.
2.5. So now let's switch it to college. We're going to be at the game tomorrow, David. We need this win to go to the Pop-Tart Bowl. I want to be there for that game. We're covering, and we're going to beat Baylor.
There you go.
Minus 6.5. Now, this pick I'm really proud of.
Oh, God.
We're going to the Big Ten, like Damon. And I was looking at the Illinois game, but I'm like, I like this one better. Give me the Maryland Terrapins to cover
God.
14.5 against the Michigan Wolverines.
I almost took something in that game. I'm glad I didn't. Because if
Why?
you're involved, I don't want a part of it.
Well, Michigan, they're ranked 18th, but they play with their food.
Yeah, they do.
I don't think they've yet to cover. They won off a walk-off field goal at Wrigley against
Yes.
Northwestern. They were playing with their food against Purdue at home for no reason.
No reason at all.
Michigan State gave them problems. And listen, I'm not sold on this Michigan team. They're too young. I think Underwood's a great prospect.
Yes.
He's only a freshman. Maryland, on the other hand, they started the season 4-0. They've lost 6 straight.
Right.
They're due for a win at home.
Hooah.
And if they don't win now for a bowl game, when are they going
And
to?
also, they just got to keep it close. They don't have to win this game. They
Exactly.
can lose by 10.
14.5.
Right.
2
Last
touchdowns.
pick.
That hook, I think, could play a big difference.
Could.
The last game. This game's going to get really ugly. We're going to the ACC.
Oh,
and
God.
we're going to, not just the ACC, we're going to go to the ACC after dark.
Oh, boy.
And we're going to pay homage to the Pac-12.
Okay. A lot of Pac-12 action this week.
We're going to go to Palo Alto, but we're going to give a second chance to Cal.
All right.
Right? I bet on them against Virginia at the start of the season.
How'd
I
that work
looked
out?
embarrassed with that pick.
Yes.
I'm going to give them one last chance. They're coming off a hot win against Louisville on the road on a Friday night.
Right.
Credit Friday nights are a little bit fluky, but I think this team is really solid, and I don't think Stanford's all that good. They don't know who's going to be in charge next year, and they're not really too focused on this game.
Right.
I think Cal will go in there, and I think they'll dominate. I think 3.5 is a little
All
disrespectful.
right. Who was your last NFL pick? Just I forgot who you had.
Last NFL
Seattle,
pick?
Chicago, and who?
Philly.
And Philly. So you're
Yeah.
with Will on that one. All right. As usual, Michael takes it over the clock, so I got to rush, but that's okay.
I thought it was pretty
why
fast.
Why not? Why wouldn't we want to hear from the guy in last place, right? I mean,
Second
that's
to last. There's a big difference.
Okay, I'm going to go quick because I have to. My first pick, Sunday Night Football. I've been rolling with the underdogs. Tampa Bay's stock is in the toilet. I don't think they're going to win. I do think they're going to compete. Folks, we got to relax on the Rams. Yes, they're very good. But Sam Darnold threw 4 interceptions. They won that game by 2 points at home. So let's be honest about this. There's something about the Rams to me that I am just not completely sold on. Tampa Bay is getting 6.5. I think it's too many. You guys kind of like the Packers. Have you guys been watching the Packers? Because I have. They don't look very good to me.
I was about to say,
Their
I liked
offense-
Minnesota.
Their offense is unimpressive. I'm going with the Vikings. Look, J.J. McCarthy, no confidence in him whatsoever. I'm taking 6.5 points because McCarthy, I don't have a lot of trust in him. The rest of the matchup, I think the Vikings are better in every category except the quarterback position. So I just hope it's not a huge difference at that spot. So I'll take the Vikings. My last pick, children, shield your ears. Parents, cover your eyes. Yes, I'm going to New Orleans, Saints and Falcons, an absolutely brutal game. I will not be watching, but I will be taking action, and I'm taking the New Orleans Saints. They're favored, and I love them. I'm taking the Saints 2.5. The Falcons are a disaster. Kirk Cousins hasn't played good football in years. The Saints are a very gritty, competitive team. If they get a sniff of a win, they usually pull it out because they don't get that many opportunities. And let's be honest, I'm a Jet fan. I want to see the Saints get a win here, help our draft position a little bit. So I'm a little bit of a homer pick, but I'm going to take the Saints. I think they win the game outright, and they beat up on a really struggling Atlanta team, maybe a coaching change the next morning for the Falcons. All right, let's go to college quickly. Iowa State. I've been taking Iowa State week after week. It's fool's gold. I'm stuck on their matchup against Arizona, but come on. Iowa State is playing Kansas. We just saw Kansas. They're not any good. That's the problem with the Jayhawks. They're not a good football team. Offensively, they leave a little bit to be desired, kind of one-dimensional. Defensively, absolutely brutal. So I have the Cyclones 3.5 points there. I'm going with the homer pick once again. Arizona 6.5. I'm with everybody else. I think they're going to score a bunch of points. I think we're kind of on the Jedfish trajectory where they picked up some big road wins. Now this is the time where they come home and have a blowout win like in 2023. I think that happens tomorrow. And then my last pick, only because the number is zofting. There's a good vocab word for you, Michael. Massive number, the biggest number I've ever seen. Syracuse is playing Notre Dame. I'm taking Syracuse because, look, Notre Dame can dominate them. They can be up 42-0, which is a possibility. Syracuse puts in the backups. Notre Dame puts in the backups. They go down the field and score a touchdown, 42-7 final.
Back door.
I win 36.5 points. I'm going to take all of those points in Syracuse. If they score first, I win. If it's 7-0, getting 36.5, that's a check mark. So I think that might happen. I'm going to take the orange. Not a lot of confidence there. I needed a pick, and I made one. But that'll do it for our show. I want to get this in very quickly. Ethan Gleich, not here today, but we think he was listening, so we thank him for that. He's with everybody else.
Oh, no.
Taking the Bears.
Oh, can I change my pick?
Yeah, you should. He's taking the Bears, the Patriots, and the Lions. So he actually looks a lot like Damon, who's in first place. So that's very interesting. Damon says, oh, no. College, he's also taking Oklahoma, Tennessee, and Houston. Houston is playing TCU. Tennessee is playing Florida. Oklahoma, Tennessee, Houston. That'll do it for us. Will, Michael, Damon, and David, we thank you so much for listening. We'll be back on the air on Monday at 5 o'clock. We hope to see you then. Thanks so much. You can find us on 1570 AM and campstudentradio.com.